Well, Jeremy, how was your
Take
how was your experience meeting R.L. Stine?
slow and quick at the same time.
This was the book that you chose.
Yes,
Yes,
I
sir.
chose to get the Welcome to Dead House book signed by R.L. Stine, which all these books were donated to Jacob. I like to have a signature of my own,
To
but
the
then
charity of
I
Jacob.
didn't own any R.L. Stine books, and Jacob owned all of them. As you can see, there's his signature, R.L. Stine. But yes, the experience was fun. The drive down there was boring.
Yeah, he's
slow
the
for the
one that
first
drove us
time.
down there. He's the best driver on the face of the earth. So,
I guess.
so we leave it up to him.
But yeah, I mean, it was fun driving down there. It was boring on the way down. It was like kind of entertaining on the way
Okay,
back.
now, for those of you who don't know, we ended up showing up there at like 5 o'clock on the dot, I think. And my brother misread the information, and it said that it was supposed to start at 7. So we were sitting there, which I'm glad we did because...
Trust me. Okay, so doors open at 5. That was the opening doors. So I was just like, well, why would you want to come here at 5 o'clock and just sit for 2 hours? Because I didn't read it right. So we got our little ticket that we had to get our book signed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, so I guess we're going here and the presentation's going to start. And then they were like, presentation starts at 7, autographs at 8. And I'm like, the hell? But had I read it correctly and saw it said 7, we would have showed up at 7.
Got our tickets.
And
we probably wouldn't have left there until like...
Because
way
people who
past
showed up
midnight.
late, if you showed up at 7 o'clock, you were like 4,000 people in at signatures. We were roughly around 300.
Yeah,
we were in
in
the 300 range. Which means we only had to wait through 300 other people, which was a pain in the ass, and we still sat there for an hour and a half. I couldn't imagine waiting for
And
the
at
rest
that
of them.
point, see, it started off with them saying, okay, we can get 2 books per person signed, and then, take photographs. But then, like, not but 100 people in, he was like, you know what? 1 book per person is good enough.
Because he did not expect to have this many people
Yeah.
in West Virginia to be, like, wanting their books signed, I guess. It was fun. I mean, we had a lot of laughs. We were making fun of people. We were making jokes. We did all kinds of stuff throughout the entire experience, and it was fun. The presentation was hilarious. I think R.L. Stine was
R.L.
very
Stine's
comical.
hilarious. We only caught tidbits because they were pretty strict with recording. I have to thank my brother. He's the one that kind of was like...
Yeah, I kind of had my
Okay.
jacket up, and I just had my phone like this, and I had the phone like...
And he was...
I had my
where
phone
he was,
like this.
where he was sitting, it was
And,
like actually positioned correctly. So.
When I went back and rewatched the video, I miss a few bits at the beginning because I'm trying to like move the camera around to get him in view, and it keeps making this sound, and it messes up some of the audio. But once I get it straight, I kind of just leave it there, and I leave it there, and I leave it there.
Mm-hmm.
And after a while, there was this... one of the security guards was walking around, and so I just clicked my screen off and it ended the video because I was afraid, like, he was going to say something.
Like, let me
Because
check
from
your phone,
Jacob's
sir.
angle, you could see it, the screen was on. So I was like, click, and I was like, okay. And then he walked back to the front, and I waited a good bit, and I hit record again. And so I got 3 recordings, but none of them were
when he
really
got
good
up
quality.
on there, he talked about how many people showed up.
He read a
talked about how
quote
nervous
from
he
a
was.
poem called Haunted.
Yeah, which I think you recorded the whole quote.
Almost the whole, I think I got the whole quote in at least. But it's really hard to hear up until a certain point.
Yeah, he did that, and then he started talking about the most realist... he said there's only 1 book that he wrote that actually was like brought up to him in real life. The rest of them he created based off a title. Like he'll come up with, stay out of the basement. I wonder what I could do with that. And then...
Yeah, like he was talking about how like he would just walk around and he would see stuff that, like he said, he was just walking with his dog one day and said that the thing popped into his head, say cheese and die. And he thought, that's cool. What if a camera took a picture and it showed how you were going to die in the future? So that's really, really cool.
Yeah,
that, like,
one thing led straight to another, and it was just kind of really interesting how he said. And he said that he writes almost all of his stories just by coming up with the title of the story. So I thought that was really inspirational, especially for me. Because that's kind of how I did. When I was in school, I would think of like these really cool titles for horror stories. And then after I come up with the title, it was kind of easy for me to come up with, what it could be about. So that was very inspirational. And the one story that he wrote that wasn't like that he actually got the idea from reality, was the Haunted Mask. Said that his son was putting on this one mask and he was working on some kind of story, and he said that his son kept complaining because he couldn't get the mask off, and he was like, "Ooh." So that's how he came up with the Haunted Mask.
And he also made a joke. He said, "Yeah, you'd figured I'd help him, but instead I just sat there."
Yeah, I sat there and just wrote the story. But yeah, I am very glad that I got the Haunted Mask signed by R.L. Stine. My mom was the one that chose this book.
So all in all, we ended up getting, I think, the 3 best books signed, because
this one, I chose this one over the Phantom of the Auditorium. I know I told you that really heartfelt story about Phantom of the Auditorium, but honestly, this one is my absolute favorite, so I went with it instead. So, yeah.
But I think these 3 are the best books to get signed. Hold your book up, Jacob, so everyone can see it.
Yeah.
But I think these 3 are the best to get signed because Haunted Mask was probably my favorite growing up. Welcome to Dead House was the very first book he wrote in the Goosebumps series. Also, it was just more enjoyable to watch the show.
And I just thought that the characters... Which one was your favorite, Mom? Come in. Come in here.
Get the cats fed and everything else.
Fine. Tell the people of YouTube what your favorite was.
Your favorite...
How was your experience with
the trip to go see R.L.
Stine? To go see R.L. Stine.
Had a lot of fun. I mean, it was okay. Had fun.
You would never do it again?
Yeah, I would do it again.
It was pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
R.L. Stine was comical.
Yeah, he was.
Mm-hmm.
Love you, Mom. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think, if next year the book festival decides to bring a Stephen King to the convention, I think we will probably be there 2 months before the event so we can get our first tickets.
Yeah.
Because I didn't expect to see 3,000 people for R.L. Stine. And, I think the thing that made me enjoy it the most was the fact there were so many young kids there that were like, "Oh my God, it's R.L. Stine," and they were like holding up their books and talk about what their favorites were.
Yeah.
There was a kid across from us who was like, he knew every book title, and to me that's enjoyable because children don't read much anymore, and you think like there's not a lot of people who care about reading anymore and that it's a dead media and that movies and video games are going to take over. But when you saw the amount of kids there, like I was overwhelmed at the amount of kids that was there. And I thought, I know these are for children, and I know in school they have to read books and stuff like that for school because that's what we had to do. But I just didn't think those kids were so excited to the point where they were like, "Oh my God, I want to go see R.L. Stine and get my book signed." Like, to me, that was an experience in itself.
Especially for a guy that's thrived in the 90s.
Yeah. Because most of these books are not, these are old, and he hasn't wrote many Goosebumps books since. I don't think he's wrote, he's wrote some, but...
He's been writing, like, these ones. He's been writing, like, newer, updated ones like these. So... Yeah,
which, no offense, but I don't think they're that great. I read one of them, and I thought they were it was just kind of like, eh. Of course it was called Halloween Zombie something. Read this instead. But to me, Goosebumps was a big part of my childhood. Meeting the guy who wrote the books I enjoyed reading when I was younger, and the shows that I watched, and it's just great to say I've met R.L. Stine. Like,
and he genuinely is a really great person in real life.
He wasn't rushing anyone through the line. It was the other people that was there.
Yeah, it was kind of the people that owned the building.
Because, like, you got to think, it was almost 10 o'clock for us, and they still had, like, 2,000 people left to go. Mm-hmm. So, but I had fun.
When I approached the table, I just immediately got so overwhelmed with happiness, and I handed him the book. And this book literally has been through the ringer. I don't know if you could tell, but it has like all kinds of little indentations to it. There's a scratch at the bottom here. And it's been through a lot. I've had this book longer than I've had any of my Goosebumps books. I've actually had this one since I was a kid. And I told him that I laid the book on the table and I said, "This book has been through a lot, but it's my absolute favorite Goosebumps story." And he picked it up, looked at it, and he's like, "Yeah, this book has been through a lot." And he said that he enjoyed writing the book too, and then he signed it, and I told him thanks. It was a big part of my childhood, and he just kind of like smiled. It was like, okay, next, but still.
Yeah.
Still, I understand. If I was signing autographs and I was there 10 o'clock at night, 3,000 more people to go, I would be like, okay, let's get this shit going. But yeah, that's why we decided not to take the picture, because we wanted to kind of. And anyway, even if we did, you weren't allowed to actually go around to like where you're side by side him, like, you know, like this. You had to actually stand in a table. So he's like sitting there at his table, and you would have been like that. That's pretty much the gist of the picture that you would have gotten.
But like, I wouldn't want 3,000 people putting their hands on me or being like,
I know,
hey.
but I would be like, you know,
like, you know, I wouldn't want to be like, I'd be like, next, please.
next.
That person's greasy, please next.
But I will respect that he actually penned full on signature instead of like stamp. Okay, next, stamp. You know, like some people.
If I would have got there and it been a stamp, I'd have been like,
especially for a free event, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I had so much fun. It sucked not eating for 12 straight hours. If you're going to do something like that,
bring snacks.
Bring some snacks. You might want to bring some Subway sandwiches or something.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be there we were there from 5 until 10 o'clock, no, 11 o'clock before we actually got to eat something. Which we went to IHOP and eat.
Yeah, I had us some delicious food. I had me a sausage, gravy, and biscuits, and this man had an omelet.
I had a omelet burrito with
Next time we need to bring snacks, Jacob, like, you know,
yeah,
like this.
But it was so delicious. It was one of the best days of my life. Thank you guys so much. Really, I did this whole video. I did it for you guys to enjoy, but I also did it as kind of like a document of the best day of my life. No, I didn't get the greatest footage, but in my mind, that will never be taken away from me.
Yes, it will. No, I'm joking.
But again, a big shout out to my brother. Please enjoy his channel. I know he doesn't do much Stephen King stuff, and that's basically what most of the people like about my channel, but
I can start doing Stephen King stuff now.
We are very, very passionate about our video games.
It's good.
And he's planning on getting a recording thing.
A game capture card.
Yeah, game capture card to actually record his video game plays and try to do a little bit more of that stuff. And I know video games aren't very good on YouTube anymore, especially after PewDiePie and, you know, all those real big 15 million or higher subscribers. But anyway, I hope you enjoy his channel. He's also does Batman stuff and just a little bit of each thing. Yeah. So a big shout out to him. I don't know what I would do without him. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you in the video game vlog.
Number 5.
Number 5 coming very soon. We got a special episode for you guys, so stay tuned. And Distuskis.